never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another reason.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Want to send a big shout out to this week's sponsor, Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina. Make sure you tell Donnie and Angie that the fanboys sent you, and make sure you try the double dipped wings or the world famous macaroni and cheese chili dog. That's Arden's Burger and Grill, located in Central South Carolina in the Walmart parking lot beside Dollar Tree. Call ahead at 864-639-5368 or check them out online at ardensburgerandgrill.com. Want to start out today's video on a sad note, and I try my best to be sad as little as possible because I don't like discussing sad stuff. I don't like talking about sad stuff. But I know here on the channel, everybody knows that I'm in the wrestling business and I really enjoy the business. So anytime anybody passes away in the wrestling business, I feel like if I don't acknowledge them, people are going to think I don't care. I mentioned this on my podcast this week that I was on with my man Jay. And by the way, if you have not yet downloaded the Anchor podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, please do so that every week when I am on the Wrestling and Racing podcast, you can catch it. But I did mention this on my podcast with Jay this week, but in case you have not heard that yet, Tuesday afternoon, word came down that Jammin' Pugh, who wrestled as Jay Briscoe, one half of the Briscoe brothers, along with his brother Mark, passed away in Delaware in a car accident. He was 38 years old. He would have been 39 next week, and that hits home because that's the same exact age that I am. So yes, he was definitely taken way too soon, and those are the kind of things you cannot prepare for. So I guess Mark has to try to make it now as a solo singles wrestler. They've always been a tag team. They are currently still in Ring of Honor. So thoughts and prayers and well wishes going out to the family of Jammin' Pugh, better known as Jay Briscoe, gone at the age of 38 Tuesday night in a car crash in Delaware. But today's video, I want to talk about the college basketball AP poll because it looks way different than what it did last week, and it's probably going to look even more different next week but I think I read that 13 ranked teams lost last week. And of course, some of them lost to other ranked teams, but some of them did not. And that is the reason why the poll looks so much different this week. There's a couple of teams on here that have not been ranked in college basketball in a long time. But just like college football, when you have upsets, when you have a top 25 poll, somebody has to be ranked. You can't have a top 25 poll and only have 15 ranked teams. You have to have 25 ranked teams. So it does seem different when you see teams that are ranked that have not been ranked in a while. But when the teams that are 18th, 19th, 20th place lose, typically they fall out. So somebody else has to jump in the rankings. But Houston is the number one team in the country this week, followed by Kansas, Purdue, Alabama, and UCLA. Now, of course, Alabama had a player that just got arrested for capital murder. And I believe I read yesterday that now they're claiming that he produced the gun that killed the person, but he did not pull the trigger that killed the person. So I'm not quite sure as of yet what his punishment will be, but Alabama coach Nate Oates said they are going through a grieving process. Then we have Gonzaga at number 6, Texas number 7, Xavier number 8. They're playing some really good basketball right now. Tennessee number 9, and Virginia rounds out the top 10. Then we have Arizona, Iowa State, Kansas State, TCU, and UConn. Now we have to figure out now which UConn is the real UConn, because they were a top 5 team for most of the year. Now all of a sudden we hit January and they look awful. So was the beginning of the season UConn the real UConn, and now they're just in a slump? Or were they just playing over their heads, and the team we're seeing now is the real UConn? Then we have Auburn, Miami, Charleston, Clemson, and Marquette. Now, all the Clemson fans have been up in arms for 3 weeks thinking Clemson should be ranked. Well, they beat Duke Saturday. Now, Duke is no good this year, but Duke still has that prestige in their name. So, of course, you beat Duke, you're going to get ranked. And then Tuesday night, Clemson proceeds to go out and lose to Wake Forest by double digits. So I'm sure when the new poll comes out next Monday, they won't be ranked. Then we have Baylor, Providence, Rutgers, Florida Atlantic, and Arkansas. So you do see Providence get ranked, but it's not all the time. But Rutgers and Florida Atlantic being ranked is a shock, something you don't see very often. But not only are they playing good, everybody else is also playing bad. And it's one of those things where people look at the poll just like in college football and say, well, they shouldn't be ranked. Well, if they shouldn't, who should be? You can't not rank them just because of what their name is. If they're playing good and nobody else around them is playing good, you rank them. You can't just say, well, it's Florida Atlantic, don't rank them. Well, I don't care who they are. If they're playing good and all the other teams that are ranked right around 22nd, 23rd, 27th, 28th, they're playing like absolute doo-doo, you rank Florida Atlantic. It's not always about the prestige, about the name. It's about how you're playing right now. And right now, Florida Atlantic is playing some good basketball. And that is what matters. But of course, like I said, Clemson got beat Tuesday night. They finally got ranked, finally made the fans happy, and then they went out and lost by double digits. So I'm sure when the new poll comes out next week, they won't be ranked anymore. Any thoughts on it? Please feel free to let me know. And in case you have not seen this yet, Clemson is the only team that has at least one player on every single NFL team that made the playoffs. So, no matter who wins the Super Bowl, there will be a Clemson player on their team. And that's why I always tell people that I pull for Clemson players while they're at Clemson, but after they graduate, leave school early, whatever the case, I want to see them be successful in the NFL, but I don't pull for the team they play for. The NFL to me is just like every other sport. I have my teams and I don't change. Not only that, with Clemson having at least one player on every single team in the playoffs, who would I pull for? I can't pull for every single team in the playoffs. It used to be, before Dabo Swinney took over, that they only had a handful of players in the NFL, so it wasn't hard to spot the team you wanted to pull for if they had a Clemson player. But now almost every single team in the league has a Clemson player on it. So yeah, I want to see Clemson players be successful, whoever they play for, but I'm not going to pull for the team they play for if it's not the teams I normally pull for. I'm a Dolphins fan. That's my team. Always has been, always will be. So I want to see the players be successful, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm pulling for the team they play for. But if you're one of those people that likes to see your college team, whoever it is, put players in the NFL, Clemson is the only team that has at least one player on every single team that made this year's NFL playoffs. Of course, NFL Round 2 playoffs start this weekend. Don't forget, we want to send a quick shout out to our sponsors, not only Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina, but also Ride and Shine Detail of the Upstate. And don't forget about our non-profit organization, Building Homes, Rebuilding Lives, Homes for the Troops. And check them out online at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Somebody poked a hole in the wall at the local nudist colony. Investigators are looking into it. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.